hip hop is just, it's the main, I would say it's probably the main source of music at this point, where the most exciting things are happening with the most exciting artists right now. And we talk about XXL every year, and it's earlier than we usually do. We talk about it right before it's supposed to be announced, but we want to talk about it because there's a lot of really exciting artists at this point. And I see you smiling. I want to take it from here.
Yeah, I mean, shit. The cover comes out in June 2019, but we're going to be talking about it now because there's interest in it, and there's already prospects that seem, oh, they should be on the list. So why wait, right? And yeah, I think talking about the XXL is always cool because, like you said, hip hop is so hot. Hip hop is so buzzing, the most streamed genre, the most engaged with on social, all of that, right?
Yep.
And because of that, making a 10 person XXL freshman list is more challenging than it once was, given all the people that are in the mix. So I do think it is an important thing to talk about, even if the viewer personally might not put any stock in who makes the list or not. And again, artists, we've talked about this last year. Check out our video when we predicted all 9 of the 2018 correctly. You don't need that to be successful these days, given this look at the state of hip hop. But I think it's always an important cosign, and it's a nice, mark in the history books. So thinking about it for next year, this early is still pretty tough and interesting. So happy to get to it now.
Yeah, and I take most of the credit for the correct picks the last couple of years. If you go back and watch those videos, we know that was mostly me. I did have a couple people that I thought would be probably likely, or some people talk about before we even really started talking about it in our text message together. And one of our guys, Juice WRLD, we just reviewed an album very recently with Travis Scott, and
Not
he
Travis.
seems to Future. Sorry, geez. Who did Travis release the album with this year?
Yeah, the Quavo album in December.
Yes, that was it. Sorry. So that's what I was getting confused with. So yeah, he dropped the album with Future recently, World on Drugs, and we gave it a pretty positive review. So we said that they had good rapport back and forth, and it seems like there's a lot there to like and a lot of potential there. Do you think he's going to be on this list?
Oh, definitely. I think the only question of Juice WRLD being on the list is similar to Lil Pump this year. Is Juice WRLD too famous / too wealthy to bother with the list? At the end of the day, the artist has to decide to go to New York,
say yes,
shoot these videos, do the ciphers, all that, right? Juice WRLD signed, I think it was a $4 million deal at the start of the year. Lucid Dreams peaked at, I think it was number 3 this year. Hit a few other really big songs, and then quickly joined with a rap A-lister, Future, and released a pretty successful follow-up, which also did really well commercially. So I think Juice WRLD, he both is new enough to be warranted for this list, has the hits, clearly has the popularity. Check his socials, check any of his views. He's obviously, people are engaged with him, and also he is interesting and different. He has a unique sound to him, and while his lyrics aren't always as good, I think he's pretty introspective rapper at times, and talks about like addiction and drugs and stuff like that in interesting ways. So I do think he has the content worth being recognized. So it's not just a popularity thing. So yeah, I think Juice WRLD would be the star of the cover next year, assuming he wants to go through with it. So I'd hope he say yes.
So he seems to be a shoo-in if he says yes. Mudboy came out recently. We didn't talk about it.
Mudboy.
But Sheck West seems to be catching a lot of popularity and a lot of fame since this release. He seems like somebody else that seems like a shoo-in for this list. Am I wrong on that?
No, dude. Mo Bamba is just massive.
Yeah,
it's just a massive song.
Biggest song of the year.
For sure. And it's crazy because the song came out in early 2017. It's just that no one was really listening to it. I mean, the song came out when Mo Bamba was still at A&M. Or sorry, Texas, not A&M. And because like they're friends from New York. They know each other. And the song was like a cult hit, right? He released the other song, Live Sheck West, Die Sheck West. And then he makes the video for Mo Bamba in January. And then just picks up. He signs the Cactus Jack and Good Music. So that's a big cosign there. And then the song just took off. It's gigantic. And then he releases Mud Boy, as you just said, a few weeks ago, and we didn't review it, but I it's an interesting project because I don't think it's totally. I don't have a totally positive take on it, but there is some other hits in there, or at least like, signs that Check West isn't a flash in the pan. Songs like Kyrie and Gmail, stuff like that, and he just has so much energy on all of his songs. He's actually kind of like a chanting delivery of sorts that I do think that there's a lot there. And of course, the cosigns, Travis Scott and Kanye slash Pusha T. I mean, it's tough to beat that. So couple that with the sheer magnitude that is Mo Bamba these days. It's the hottest song in any club. He should be on there as well. So he'll be there.
I think Sheck West, his delivery is like made just to make bangers, basically, because it just gets everybody chanting with them. Like Mo Bamba, everybody just wants to sing along and like rage to that song, and like his other songs on his album are similar. So he's gonna be on. He's an absolute star. These two guys made an album together, Gunna and Lil Baby, and Drip Harder. While I listened pretty passively to it, I still found myself bopping to it a lot. And I think that there's a lot to like between these two. Do you think that they'll get picked, or do you think that making this album together might actually hurt their chances?
No, I don't think it hurts their chances because they were both established in their own way solo before they released Drip Harder. Little Baby came on earlier. It was actually not that long ago, like this last December. He was on the Quality Control compilation, right? And that's how he kind of came up. He was like around Migos and the Quality Control guys. They're like, hey, you're pretty good at this. You should start rapping. Then he makes some mixtapes. The next thing you know, he's massive star, just like the other, like Migos, right? And then Gunna, who was a friend of Lil Baby's, also was at it a little longer than him. Then Drip Season 3 comes out early in this year. Is very successful. Some hits off that. And like you said, they collabed together. That album went #1, did like 100,000 first week. Drip was it Drip Too Hard, like big ass song. So I think these guys, like as we're going through this list, they kind of represent the mainstream, the current, the foundation of rap right now, Atlanta. Like these are Atlanta guys, and you always need them on the list. And I think they're big enough and already have put out a fair amount of songs already to warrant this. And yeah, again, they're guys that maybe they wouldn't bother because they're quite big already, but they should be there.
It sounds like we have a couple that will probably be there, and I think there's one more that I'm almost certain it's going to be there. This is your guy, YBN Cordae. Cordae,
yeah,
Cordae. He dropped this album earlier this year. Basically, it's a mixtape, I guess. I don't know. It's 23 songs, which, first of all, this guy knows how to game the streams. Get those plays up, boy. But really, I mean, you look at like Kung Fu seems to be like his major breakout song.
Yeah.
But then he's only got a couple other songs that really seem to have jumped up off this album. But I feel like with Kung Fu's massive appeal, he's got to be a shoo-in.
Yeah. So that YBN mixtape, Cordae's only on a handful of those songs because most of those songs were made by YBN Namir, who we talked about at length. He made the cover this year, as well as YBN Amadi J. They were the first two of this YBN clique to pop off, right? And then Cordae came around third. His first song anyone really heard was Old Hittas. It was the 1985 J. Cole response. And everyone was impressed because Cordae came out with a lyrical, thoughtful response over J. Cole's beat. And it was actually good. And then you listen to Cordae talk and make more songs and you're like, oh, wait, this guy is like very smart. And one of the cuts on the YBN mixtape is about being pulled over by the police. And it's a really, again, lyrical cut. And then like Dr. Dre started fucking with Cordae and was in the studio with him already, right? And again, like you said, he does not have a lot of music out right now. And I think he's only like Namer, and like he's like 18, I think. Yeah. Cordae was born in 97. He's very young. So what's that make him? 21? Yeah. So
21.
He has not been on the scene at all, but I think that cosign and the clear promise that he presents as a lyricist would warrant him be on the list. So I really hope he'd be there.
So these are a couple other people. I just have questions if they're eligible or if you think they'll make it, because I think two of them are definitely eligible. One that I'm not sure, T Grizzly. Is he eligible?
Well, I thought T Grizzly should have made it this year.
Right.
And like we said, we got all 9 correct, but they didn't pick the 10th spot. And T Grizzly was my 10th guy because Little Skies, Rich, a bunch of people like turned it down. They just didn't fill that last spot. So I thought T Grizzly should have already been picked. He just released his second mixtape this year. You know,
like this
it's
past
weird.
week.
Yeah, Still My Moment. And it's like they don't really roll it over that much, you know? It's like you could see it, but it's like guys that got passed over this year for like violent, like domestic violence stuff, right? So 6ix9ine, Dex, Young Boy, they won't be on there for 2019. But someone like Grizzly, who was just skipped for whatever reason, maybe he just wasn't interested. Yeah, I think he's worth it. He's still new enough. But I'm probably just gonna assume he's not picked again, you know? But he's worth it. I mean, he has those hits. He has now steady body of work. He's worked with Dirk and Meek Mill and stuff. So he's got the good music. So I mean, I really wanted him to be on it this year. So, if they threw him a bone for 2019, I did it, but I don't expect it.
Someone that I'm guessing doesn't have enough body of work yet, potentially could change before they pick 070 Shake. She showed out on Kanye's albums this summer. A lot of buzz after Ghost Town, but she hasn't released, I don't think, an official project yet, right?
She has, I think that's the Glitter EP, which came out right before Ye came out, but that's like 20 minutes. Gotcha. And I think that's her first official release. She might have one other EP on top of that. She's pretty young. She's pretty new. She would be an interesting pick. She'll love to some ladies for once on this cover, but also she's different. Sonically, vocally, she's in a different lane. She certainly isn't Little Baby or Gunna, right? So picking 070 Shake would be cool. And again, got the good music co-sign, so I think she has the package. It's just there's no singular hit that's hers. Obviously, Ghost Town is a feature. But she would be an inspired pick for sure. Because I still think people might not be familiar with who she actually is, even if they heard her on a Kanye album, right? Yeah, that's a good one. I would like to see that.
I would like to see that too. I think probably one of my favorite surprise moments off the Kanye album. NBA YoungBoy. No.
Well, they passed him over this year because he hit his girlfriend. So no, I'm not picking him.
Okay. I didn't know he had the kind of issue.
If he didn't have that, they would have picked him this year because he's very, very successful. Tons of streams, a lot of hits. But no, he's damaged goods.
You mentioned Lil Baby before. Oh no, sorry, we talked about Lil Baby. You mentioned Little Mosey. That was who was next on my list. Lil Mosey.
Yeah.
We gonna see him on this list?
I think so. He's 16. He's very young. And Noticed, similar to Mo Bamba, his hit song Noticed came out last year, took a while to bubble, and now it's really big. It's been a staple of Rap Caviar for months. And he just released his debut official project. He had some SoundCloud projects, but his debut project, North's Best, a few weeks ago. And yes, you listen, it's lyrics, there's no lyrics there. But what he does have is he kind of has an interesting flow for trap beats. And his two hits, the next hit off of this North's Best project is called Kamikaze. He just got a Cole Bennett video. And similar to Mosey, on his hooks, he has really cool drum beats that just make the song sound really catchy. So I think his ear for production is very underrated for a kid as young as he is. So I would think he'd be there just because Notice got really big. And we already have, the signs of more to come with this new project. So I think he would be there. It would make sense. But on the other hand, he is quite young. If you want to make him wait another year, I wouldn't have a problem with it.
So who else do you expect to see on this list?
Yeah, so I mean, I think Juice WRLD, Check West, Corday, Baby and Gunna, those 5 are damn near locks.
Definitely.
Those are the first 5 people XXL will ask. It's just a matter of if they say yes, right? And then all these other people are, we're making the case, right? All the Chicago people, we talked about them for this year's list, but No Name in theory would be the closest, given that she just released Room 25, another Acclaim project. But all these Chicago artists like that, I just don't see them as having enough mainstream appeal or recognition to get picked, which is disappointing because they would really benefit from this exposure. but I would root against that. So Smino, who we're going to talk about, Saba, Toki, all these guys, they're not going to get picked. They're just too underground. So who's that leave? I mean, Jay Critch is a New York rapper. He's in like the A Boogie camp. I've never been too impressed with him, but he's getting popular. I could see him getting picked. Young bands, Little Nar. I'm not really crazy about these dudes, but they're kind of popular now. Maybe Zillakami would be an interesting one because he is like similar to Little Peep, who we're going to talk about. He kind of merges like metal themes and like tons of like heavy rock influences into his rap. He was featured on Denzel Curry's album earlier this year. He's very interesting to me. Again, he'd be a pretty off the wall choice, but I think that actually be inspired. Comethazine, another interesting one, maybe. Yeah, great name, right? Valet, we talked about him for this year. If he releases another project and he has like a hit on there, I could see them going with Valet, given the good music cosign and whatnot. And he's been in the news, given the flows.
What about So Weedy? You know,
yeah,
a couple of songs off her album I like a lot. Ice Girl or Icy Girl's great.
Yeah, Icy Girl, fucking banger. Was Insecure. Like everyone knows Icy Girl, right? And Saweetie smartly followed off that high maintenance EP. I mean, Up Now was her last single, at G-Eazy on there. But I think she's dating Quavo or briefly dated Quavo. Like she's clearly positioning herself to be a big star. And I think if she releases one more project before this cover choosing time comes, I think she should get on there because she's getting a lot of recognition for someone with not a lot of music, but she has that hit. She has kind of the cosign of just general Atlanta rap, right? So yeah, I would not be surprised if she was there.
Nice. All right. So we got, I think, like 7 definites, it seems like, from you.
Yeah, and then
about that.
Yeah, and I mean, I would love to see Rico Nasty on here. She's got a lot of music out, so she's probably got passed over, but I love to see Rico Nasty on here. And then lastly, Jane Smith is going to drop another project at the end of this week. That's pretty soon after Sire came out. He had that like electric remix version of Sire earlier this year. So he's more active in music. So wouldn't be surprised. Jane's still pretty young, but you know, maybe.
Well, we'll see. Sounds like there's some definites, and then still a lot of room for someone to come up and potentially steal some spots. So we'll be talking about it. Stay tuned.